the Rambler Network.
Step right up, ladies and gents, a show for the ages, a spectacle of silent silver. Gather around, folks, don't be shy. A real humdinger of a picture awaits. Thrills, chills, and plenty of laughs. From the golden days of flickering reels and grand Nickelodeons comes a program most extraordinary. A real corker of a show, a top-notch talkie about a world with no talk at all. It's Casablanca Silent Treatment. Two of the most over-adapted stories in cinematic history are that of King Arthur and Robin Hood. The first feature-length Robin Hood film was titled Douglas Fairbanks and Robin Hood in 1922 and was directed by Allan Dwan and starred Douglas Fairbanks, Enid Bennett, Sam de Grasse, Wallace Beery, and Allan Hale. It was also the first movie to receive a Hollywood premiere. When you think of Robin Hood, you probably think of a charming outlaw, splitting arrows and stealing from the rich and giving to the poor. But what if I told you one of the earliest versions was actually one of the darkest? It's also the first, feature-length silent film I've covered this year. All the other ones have been relatively short. This one clocks in at over 2 hours. So, yeah, it's not a short film. So this film, it was one of the most expensive films at the time. Which, makes sense because of, the length. But it also had a massive castle set, which was, basically a playground for stunts, which was great for Douglas Fairbanks. So growing up, I watched the Disney Robin Hood with the Fox, and that's probably, I want to say, the most popular and well-known version of Robin Hood. And I hadn't seen this one yet until I sat down to watch this one. And I always got this one and the Errol Flynn version mixed up. So this is not the Errol Flynn version. That one is in color and has sound. And stars Errol Flynn. So this film is basically two films? It's not two films, but I want to go out on a limb and say that it is basically two films. Because the first half, he's not even called Robin Hood in the first half of the film. Instead, he is called Earl of Huntingdon, or just Huntingdon. And so, yeah, like, the first half of the film, I'm like, wait, where's Robin Hood coming in? And I knew that was Douglas Fairbanks because I know who Douglas Fairbanks is. But, yeah, the first half is more of like a political thriller, in a way. It's kind of giving The Lion King, because the actual king, Richard the Lionheart, goes to a far off land to do battle, and his brother, Prince John, is in control of the throne at the time, but he wants to be king, so he basically takes the crown for himself, unbeknownst to Richard, and all chaos breaks loose. And it's just like how when Scar took over Pride Rock and everything dried up, it's kind of what happened when John takes over. So about halfway through, it does kind of a time jump, a year. And in that year, he became Robin Hood. And the second half of the film kind of opens with like a castle chase scene. And it's probably the most famous scene of the movie. It's the one where he's running around the castle, people are chasing him, and he's just playing around with them. And then he jumps on that tapestry and slides down. That's probably the most famous shot of the scene, the shot of the movie. Oh, I missed something. I'm looking at my notes and I realize I skipped something. This film actually is surprisingly progressive for the day. Usually, you would expect, in later versions of Robin Hood, Marian is more of a damsel in distress, and like she basically waits around for Robin to rescue her, or she's just the love interest or something. And this one, she is not passive. She stands up to Prince John. She thinks for herself, and she actively participates in the story. She's the one who writes a letter to Robin Hood before he's Robin Hood. She's the one that writes to it because he goes out to the battle with Richard, and she writes a letter to him saying, "Hey, Prince John is kind of acting like Scar, and things aren't that great here." And Robin is like, "Oh, I should probably." Oh, the whole reason he becomes an outlaw basically is because he didn't tell King Richard. He didn't tell King Richard about what's going on. He was like, I better not tell him because then he won't finish the war. So I'm gonna go back. I'm gonna make them think that I abandoned my post and I'm a deserter. And because of that, he becomes an outlaw. Because he didn't want to tell the king, because then he'll abandon the war and go back home. And I don't know, I don't like that. But anyway, Marian's the reason that Robin even knew anything was going on. So, one of the last parts of the first half of the film, there's a horseback chase with Marian and the guards of the castle, and she outsmarts them, and it's a really smart scene, like the way it's done. And they think that she fell off a cliff, and to the point where they even tell Robin, "Oh, she fell off a cliff. She's dead." But yeah, like she actually is like an actual genuinely fleshed out character in this movie, which surprised me, which was refreshing, and I liked it considering it's the 1922 and like later versions of it. She's just a damsel in distress or something, and it's like why are we going backwards? So basically, what I'm saying is the first half is more like a political drama, and the second half is like the typical swashbuckling adventure that you're expecting with the Robin Hood, the outlaw, and with the Merryman and the Little John. So second half is the movie I thought I was getting, and yeah, first half I was like, this isn't Robin Hood. But yeah, I said it was over 2 hours. It does not feel like 2 hours. Like I'm sitting here watching it. So yeah, so when I got to that time jump, I paused it, and yeah, it was about halfway. And so I was like, "What? It's already been that long?" And then whenever I started watching, I pressed play again, and I watched the rest of it. It did not feel like 2 hours. I know, like you think, oh, silent film over 2 hours long. This is gonna be a really long thing. No, it didn't feel that. It was even the political drama part was exciting. There were both halves were exciting for different reasons, and I was pleasantly surprised. So yeah, by this point in cinematic history in 1922, silent films were no longer just experimentations. Let's see what we can do. They were going full scale with like storytelling and building massive sets and yeah, going all out. Like kind of like what they're doing now with, they're telling full full dramatic stories, emotional moments, and like whereas early silent films like the ones I've covered previously, the Journey to the Moon and the Great Train Robbery, there were like really short experiments. Can we do this type things? There's like bare bones story. There's no character names. There's no. I want to say motivate. There's motivation. They're trying to rob a train, and then the other people are trying to stop them from robbing the train and then catch them. But like this one, there's like stakes and there's characters and like weight to the story. And by this point, they were no longer experimenting, and I think that's exciting. We can actually see the development of the cinematic history, where you go from experimentation, can we do this, what can we do, what's the limits of our technology, to full-on storytelling. I think it's exciting. And I will say, this is probably going to make some people upset, especially those who love the Disney version. I think this may be the best version of the Robin Hood story. And I hate how every couple years they have a new Robin Hood movie. I don't know why. Okay, just let it rest for 50 years. I've seen a modern Robin Hood, I've seen a future Robin Hood, I've seen a robot. I've seen there was a Robin Hood in space. If you want to do something like that, change the name. It was still called Robin Hood. It was Robin Hood in the 13th century, 30th century or something. I don't remember. It was annoying. I'm make it an original character if you're gonna do that. And cut. Step right up, folks. Don't let the show end here. If you enjoyed tonight's picture, there's plenty more waiting just beyond the curtain. Follow the show on Instagram at Rambler Network. And for even more stories that spark curiosity, step right this way to RamblerNetwork.com, your one-stop destination for all things Rambler Network. So don't be a stranger and miss the next attraction, because the show is always just getting started.
The Rambler Network.